All right, here we are. We stopped at the verse number 9 from the hymn 13 of the first mandala of the Rig Veda. So this is Apri Suktam. I remind you about this Apri, this hymn of love or fulfillment, let us say, fulfillment. And today we will look into this, what is delight and fulfillment and love in general in the Vedic view. So here is this verse, Ila Sarasvati Mahi Tisro Devich Mayo Bhuvach Barhich Siddhanto Asridhach. May the three undecaying goddesses who are made of delight, Mayo Bhuvach, Ila Sarasvati and Mahi, sit down upon the sacred grass. Barhich Siddhanto. Now, Barhich is the direct object here. It's not in the locative case. It's quite interesting. So, may they sit the grass, literally, or sit the vastness, or let us say, may they relax in the vastness, or occupy the vastness, or that vacancy which we created for them within ourselves, that space we prepared for the sacrifice. So here there are three rivers. These three rivers are very important from the point of view of Sri Aurobindo's discovery of the Vedic knowledge. As you know, he came to the Vedas through these three rivers. He saw them written in a subtle lipi. So he saw Ila, Saraswati, and Mahi, and he was wondering, why are they there? When he has had certain experiences, he saw these three rivers. And then when he came, he discovered them in the Rig Veda. He saw why it was so, because it was describing that particular experience. So they are the currents, or the currents of energy of a higher consciousness, who are kind of influencing or changing consciousness of human beings. So they are the currents of the supramental consciousness, of rhythm, of the dynamic truth. And here they are, according to the traditional views. First of all, this is my note, Ila, Saraswati and Bharati or Mahi are personifications of Agni, Agni Murtayaha. They are also three personified flames of fire, as goddesses. Ila is bride of Vishnu, Saraswati is the goddess of eloquence, or the word, wife of Brahma, and Bharati is speech herself, and wife of Bharata, or Aditya. Now you can see how far away it drifted. There is no clarity anymore in these definitions. They are more ritualistic rather than psychological. In Sri Aurobindo's views, it is a bit different. Saraswati is the word, the inspiration, as I suggest, says Sri Aurobindo, that comes from the rhythm, truth consciousness. Bharati and Ila must also be different forms of the same word or knowledge. Bharati is also called Mahi, the large, great, or vast. The three, Ila, Mahi, or Bharati, and Saraswati, are associated together in a constant formula in those hymns of invocation, in which the gods are called by Agni to the sacrifice, and these are Apri Suktas. So in Apri Suktas we have these three rivers constantly mentioned throughout Rig Veda, through all the mandalas. Now Sri Aurobindo continues, as Saraswati represents the truth audition, Shruti, which gives the inspired word, so Ila represents Drishti, the truth vision. This is a misprint. Sorry. If so, since Drishti and Shruti are the two powers of the Rishi, the Kavi, the seer of the truth, we can understand the close connection of Ila and Saraswati. Bharati or Mahi is the largeness of the truth consciousness which, dawning on man's limited mind, brings with it the two sister puissances. We can also understand how these fine and living distinctions came afterwards to be neglected as the Vedic knowledge declined and Bharati, Saraswati, Ila melted into one stream. We may note also that these three goddesses are said to bring to birth for man the bliss, Mayas. This is my note here, which is not so important here for now, and we will come to it in a minute. But Aurobindo writes in The Secret of the Veda. So, for the truth consciousness, there are corresponding faculties, Drishti, Shruti, and Viveka. Drishti is seeing, Shruti hearing, Viveka discerning. The direct vision of the truth, the direct hearing of its word, and the direct discrimination of the right. Notice these would be three major faculties of our consciousness, yeah? Seeing, hearing, and touch. Touch would have something to do with which embodies both hearing and seeing, or apprehensive and comprehensive cognition. It is within the touch that we cognize what is right. Whoever is in the possession of this truth consciousness or open to the action of these faculties is the Rishi or Kavi, sage or seer. This is my note of today. I was thinking about Mayas. It's interesting that Mayas in the Veda is the delight or the bliss. And it is from root me to measure out or diminish, yeah, or shape something. So to create a smaller or more concentrated form out of the immeasurable, so to say. In this process of creation, the delight is the outcome. The delight is constantly following the process of manifestation. Therefore, the Ananda Loka is called in the Puranas Janar Loka, or the world of birth, or of generation, of producing, or manifesting in the separate form. So if the divine being is manifested, existence in a particular shape or form, it is accompanied by delight. This is something interesting to think what delight is. Yes, we never thought that delight has something to do with creativity or focusing of energy. And that's why we see when creative people are producing something or manifesting, yes, making, creating, composing, focusing energy, that it is accompanied by delight. They're seeking that delight, actually. That's why they are doing things. Otherwise, they would not do it. So the idea to do things for something else than to get delight later is a wrong idea. So now I will earn my money and then I will get the delight. I think this is altogether a wrong concept, which is diminishing the very meaning of our embodiment here, of our state of consciousness here. We are here to receive the delight by doing, by being actively engaged in life constantly. So this is the idea which I draw from this simple thought of Mayas from root me to manifest in form is the delight. Just wanted to share with you this thought of today. It came today. So, and then So these three rivers, as you see, they are the three streams of our direct revelation, that is seeing. When we see the truth, we see the face we see the being, we see the self. Notice how interesting it is. So seeing has something to do with the self. Hearing has to do with the meaning of comprehension of the self or the consciousness. So if seeing has to do with the recognition of the self, direct evidence of the truth of the being, then the hearing of its meaning, how it relates to others, the word, and finally the touch, which combines them both. So it's amazing, because this is exactly what we are dealing with. These are the fundamentals of our existence, consciousness, and bliss. These three, which manifest everything in this world. The only three faculties of consciousness available to us. I wanted to say more, but somehow it disappeared in my head. Right. Maybe it will come. Something was important but disappeared. It will come. So if we move forward in this verse, then next is Tvashtar appearing. It's a big topic altogether. I will come back to these three rivers again and again, because they are fundamental to Satyam Ritam Brihad. That's what I wanted to say. Satyam Ritam Brihad. These are three manifestations of the static truth, dynamic truth, and vastness. And these are the Ila Saraswati Mahi. These are the three rivers representing this triplicity of the supermind, of its unifying thought, of its diversifying power, of the dynamic truth, and its vastness manifestation in all the details of the infinite existence. So these three are corresponding to three faculties of consciousness, of seeing, hearing, and touch, interestingly enough. Aurobindo somewhere says that there are only two major faculties of consciousness. It is seeing and hearing. Then he adds that viveka, or touch, or intuition, whatever. But touch is combining both already. It's a combination of both. Whereas seeing and hearing are fundamentally different. If we understand this, we understand a lot from the Rig Veda, why they are there, and how this was organized, and what is seeing to do. They say in Russian proverb that it is better to see once than to hear 100 times. So seeing means direct evidence. It's already being is there, yes? Hearing is about it is not enough. As they joke in India, halva, halva, when politicians come here. So you say halva, I don't feel sweetness. So saying halva doesn't bring sweetness. But where is halva? Where is the self? I want to see halva. I don't want to hear halva. Yeah? So this is the point of the direct evidence. In Savitri, Sri Aurobindo speaks in the adoration of the Divine Mother so beautifully. But who had seen the body of the King, King capital K? Who had seen the body of embodied divine? And nobody saw him yet directly embodied here in manifestation. So in that sense, that revelation will be the ultimate truth, when the self of the divine will be embodied totally in the material form. So hearing is something which combines everything, makes everything meaningful. All these elements of the being of a divine existence are meaningfully related. And so recognition of the truth is based on these two, recognizing the form and its meaning. Or nama and drupa, yes, the two words. Here, I'm moving forward to the verse 10. Ihatvashtaram agriyam vishvarupam upahvaye asmakam astu kevalach. Here, in this lower hemisphere, I invoke the original created Tvashtar, whose form is the universe. He is Vishvarupa, or he is Vishvakarman, also in the 10th mandala. May he be solely ours. Traditionally, Tvashta is Vishvakarman, artificer of the gods, the fabricator of the original sacrificial ladle. It's interesting that that sacrificial ladle, that juhu, that which was created to contain soma in the physical form. Aurobindo speaks on, describes Tvashtar as the original creator of the physical consciousness, which could contain the immortality or the delight of existence, the ambrosia, amritam. So to contain soma, amritam, in the physical consciousness, in the physical form, there was an amazing kind of move made in the divine, and that was Tvashtar. Tvashtar literally is the carpenter. He carved out of the wood, or that original substance, unconscious, the ladle which could contain the ambrosia. So this is the biggest mystery in biology also, how this first animated matter came into being. We do not know that process, how it became animated for the first time. Nobody could create in the laboratory the life out of the matter which has no life. So to say, the first cell, the first organism which could reproduce itself, how it came into being. So this is the mystery, and I think Tvashtar is responsible for this. He is the creator of the first carrier of life within the matter, that matter could reproduce itself and continue to live in spite of death and absence of consciousness and so on. Endure through progeny, so to say. Yeah. It's a huge topic. Yes, please go ahead.
Sorry, I've joined after many days, and what a coincidence that you're talking about the faculties, and I'm working on the presentation, right? So I just had a question. What about buddhi? So we
Buddhi is
have.
from another language. Yeah, it's a language of the Sankhya, of philosophical kind of viewing the mind in two different poises. One is a higher mind capacity, and the other is a lower. One is a reason, or that pure reason, where the mind is free from the senses, as it were. It's already a mental structure of consciousness, different way of thinking. Yeah? It's already
Okay.
mentalizing everything.
So memory, uh, like perception, cognition, is all buddhi, right?
Buddhi is more intellect, yeah, something like we call not higher mind, but how would we call it? Pure reason, yeah, of Kant.
Okay.
And manas is a sense mind, yes, which operates through senses. But again, we shifted to totally different framework. From
Okay.
there is nothing in the Vedas of this kind. Vedas do
Okay.
not operate within this way of thinking.
Okay. So
It's
the
not.
Veda is only the faculties, the three faculties.
Not only three, there are many more. But three major fundamental faculties of consciousness are seeing, hearing, and touch. Yes,
Touch. Okay.
which can be perceptive and active. When they are active, then this will be the word of the hearing, and of the seeing, there will be the mind, the power of concentrating, holding the self. If seeing is the self, then holding the self is the mind. If the hearing is the comprehension, then expressing the comprehension is the word. Yeah?
Okay.
And then breathing in and breathing out, so to say. I'm taking already Upanishads, drifting towards Upanishads because they define these, would be the aspiring, so to say. And so
Okay.
breathing in and breathing out. So aspiring with life towards the higher spirit and bringing in the spirit into the physical frame. And that is what Tvashtar did. Yeah.
Okay.
I switched off because I wanted to see your faces. Otherwise, I don't see who is.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm working on that presentation, right? So I'm kind of just mulling over this Viveka, which last time we just discussed, and I was just reading about it. But for me, I just wanted to understand, where does memory fall in? Like, where would memory come? I
Memory
mean,
is a very powerful uh, topic, which we unfortunately, if I go now to memory, I don't even know whether I will come out from it. Let us think for a second. What is memory? What is memory according to you?
so memories when I'm like sitting here and I was talking to you, and I'm talking to you and I'm memorizing another event, or a situation, and it's playing in my mind. So it's memory and imagination. It's happening together.
Imagination, or it can be memory of the word, yeah, of the meaning, not necessarily of the form. So you can keep what is memory. Okay, imagination and sort of form and the word are the what you remember, yeah? And what is remembering? Actually, remembering is a good word, actually, which explains
Mm.
what memory is.
Remembering.
Remember.
Remember.
Reconnect. So you are basically reconnecting to something which is within you, within your reach, somewhere, yes, within yourself, within your bigger self, yeah,
Mm.
which you are not now kind of possessing. You are in this particular formation, in this particular focus. And then you remember, that means you take another part of yourself which is going beyond this narrow spectrum of your concentration, and you remembered
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
So what is memory then? According to Sri Krishna, memory is something fundamental. It is when we forget who we are, we forget, everything, because we have to remember. You remember in Lion King, remember who you are.
Yeah, remember who you are. And memory does play an important role because, okay, like now I'm in Bombay, and many times like I kind of feel and experience, okay, like I'm sitting at the samadhi and that moment, and that's a memory, right? I'm experiencing a memory. Sorry, I hope I'm not deviating and nobody's getting bored, but I've just been struggling with memory.
Well, yes, memory is.
Patanjali, Vladimir, I mean, just brings another question to me. Patanjali mentions memory as one of the vrittis in his Yoga Sutras.
Yes,
The vrittis, it's like imagination, sleep, memory, the 5 vrittis of consciousness.
Yes. Vrittis. Vrittis are these chitta's activities. Yes, chitta is something which is a storage of all our experiences. Once we experience it, it has the right, as Aurobindo says, to live forever. Something which we give the right to be. Yeah? We experience it, we create this being of the energy field which has the right to be forever. Can you imagine this? It's difficult to imagine. We think that things are temporarily existing, but it's not true. Everything which came through us and took one's shape has the right to be forever. It's like in this infinite divine, everything has its place somewhere. In this infinity, it can find its place, its corner to be. There is infinite corner. You know, there are many corners. It's not one corner. We are not limited in space. That's why we have to vacate all the time space, because there's this infinity of space allows everything which came into being to be. This is something which I've discovered in Sri Aurobindo, especially in Savitri speaks about this. It's a bit kind of beyond our expectation. I never expected that everything which was experienced once has the right to be forever. Has the right.
Sorry, please go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm again just talking on a context, of an artist. So a lot of artists, they create from memory. Some create when they are sitting there and they're looking at a painting or a landscape or whatever. But a lot of them, even a musician, when they're practicing with their guru and they're practicing with their guru, but then they're memorizing that particular alap or that sargam and then they're practicing it on their own. So in that context, I'm talking about memory.
You're right. And so what is your question? So you say what,
my question is,
what we know, you say, yes.
Yes. Yeah, so my question is, then when you create from memory, then in which of the does it fit into any of the faculties? No, then it's a different domain, correct?
No, but again, seeing, hearing, and touch are not something which is memory is the material with which you deal. Yes, so it is something which you have to draw or into yourself, either from above or from below or from the middle, wherever it is. This is chitta's material, which is stored as our impressions from the past or from the future, I would say, whatever it is. So if we take the whole lineage of all possible experiences, there will be everything is stored for us, and we can remember it, reconnect with it, because our self is actually universal self, only it is narrowed in perception. So we enlarge, and the memory is that smriti, which brings in that particular action of reconnecting to something which is there within us, which we thought it wasn't ours. We thought because we are narrow in perception. But there is a distinction between Shruti and Smriti in the Brahmanic literature. Shruti is a revelation. It is something which is novel, which is true, which is fresh, which is new. As it is said in the Veda, the rishis discovered new names, not from the smriti, not from the memory. They have fashioned new meanings. And these new meanings now will get their shape, form, and once they get their shape, form, embodiment, they become part of smriti.
Okay. Got it.
So everything is smriti here, except that creating a process of revelation of Shruti. I don't know. There are more ways of looking at memory, I'm sure. So if you want to go on, but that's quite enough. So we can look into this
Vladimir, just
Yeah.
one thing. So memory, you said it's there all the time. Like once whatever we experience becomes memory. So, and there are times when certain situations will trigger a certain kind of memory and certain kind of experience back again. So, is there any way that one can sort of like refresh the memory or like recreate a memory or sort of like flash it off,
You are
something like that?
doing all the time this. You are all the time recreating the memories. And you may, and memories are going so deep, and we are so aware of them in the deeper sense, in the deeper capacity of our consciousness. As Aurobindo says, we attend to everything because there is this universal consciousness in us which actually remembers everything, attains to everything, attends to everything. Whatever happened, I'm talking to you now, and outside the car is running, so I heard it with the back, but I didn't register it. But if I go deeper into myself by through the hypnosis, I will recover that memory. It is there, stored. I can come back to it if I want to. Moreover, it goes even farther. There is a deeper self in me which attends to many more events, which I'm not even registering on the surface. And all of it exists.
And is there any way of like the example you gave of that car? And so, is there any way one can sort of like heal or work on those memories, or like I don't know, because these imprints they sort of like stay and
There is no need to work with them. This is an interesting topic of if you want to play games with these memories, you can play forever. You can draw whatever memories you like from the past, fool yourself, imagine yourself, play with them, be in that dream state forever. Or you just look at them as the events of the manifestation and go forward instead of being stuck with them. And that's why Chitta Vritti Nirodha is yoga, as it is said in the Yoga Sutras. It is stopping of all the imprints, impressions of Chitta, of all these memories. If we stop them totally, clean up, then we will discover something original there behind, which is not covered by these impressions, imprints.
it's. I mean, it's so one. It will be so good, but then there are these few memories which are very strong, which just like what you said, it's so impossible to do it with a few memories. Few. I mean, I don't know. It's just,
Yeah, there are memories which are very strong and which are demanding their place in your consciousness. Mother says interesting thing in 1971, two years before she passed, before she left the body, she says, "You can't imagine what is coming to me. All the memories from my youth, the desires to get something from the shop, they're still there. They're still knocking on the doors. They want to come in. They want to be lived again. They want to recapture again that juice of life, They want to be charged again with consciousness of the being. So they are there. They are like living energies, like imprints, which want to live, to be lived again. And so what can you do with them? You just have to see them as they are, and that's it. You don't need to deal with them. You don't need to become it. You don't need to give yourself to them. It doesn't. The liberation, according to Sri Krishna, it is that when all the rivers of desire fall into you like into the ocean, which is immobile. You are not moved by these movements of memories, desires. You are viewing them as Sri Aurobindo says, as the birds in the windless air. You are the windless air, and they are the birds in the windless air. They don't disturb you. You don't run after them, you don't fight with them. But the moment you start fighting with them or wanting them, you become those birds. There is no more windless air. You're just that bird in the air. So, but when you withdraw from it and view it as if objectively, as a witness, then all these memories are there, and many more. You will be surprised how many more memories you don't remember now, which are not even yours per se, but they are of that evolutionary past, of the whole humanity and the whole nature is still there, stored within your memory. So would you like to become all of it? No, not for sure not. So you see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, it's just a lot of work. Oh God.
Work. A lot of work. This I didn't expect. No, there is a lot of work done and is being done in that. And they call them, in Buddhism, they call them samskaras. Yeah? It is those imprints which were made once and which are making you react, think. We are all made of this material of samskaras. Yeah? Dogmas, thoughts, languages. We are using the language which is in itself is an imprint of memories, of particular usage. Each word has a history, has a depth of meaning, which when we speak, we immediately activate.
It's very interesting to observe that memory can be something which can make us really creative and active, and on the other hand, it can be something which can also sort of like, it has the power to sort of like cripple us if we become one of it. Like the example of language, so using language each moment is like actually becoming that memory, and that's how I can speak whatever I speak.
Yes, and there are many more things behind it which are not yet registered but can be registered. Yes. And with the deeper we go, the more we are witness, the more we see, and more we are free from that memory. Yes, memory is not to occupy us. It has totally different. It's an objective viewing of what is going on, but we are free to interact with that what is going on, and not being determined by what is going on. So here we are with Tvashtar. So Tvashtar created this physical consciousness, this first carrier of the ambrosia. And what is interesting about him, Ihatvashtaram agriyam vishvarupam upahvaye asmakamastu kevalach, that he is agriyam. Interesting, the word, yeah. I invoke the original creator, the universal creator, Vishvarupa, who created universal form, which could sustain the spirit, ambrosia, amrita. And about Tvashtar, it is one of these ancient gods whom we don't find later in the post-Vedic tradition. Even in the Vedas, he is very archaic. And it is clear why. He is considered to be one of the Adityas who created this first imprint in the physical form. I have the whole thing on Ribhus. I wanted to speak about this because Tvashtar is important for us in connection to Ribhus. Ribhus are the semi-gods or gods of the Rig Veda, or the human beings who became gods, yeah, as it were. And there is a whole beautiful chapter on it by Sri Aurobindo, and I want us to look into it, which explains the relation of Tvashtar and Ribhus. Have you heard of Ribhus before? No? The three sons, the three brothers, so to say, not sons, three brothers, the Ribhus. It has been suggested are rays of the sun. And of course, Tvashtar himself is the manifestation of Aditya. And it is true that like Varuna, Mitra, Bhaga, and Aryaman, these four guardians of the supernal light, they are powers of solar light, the truth. But their special character in the Veda is that they are artisans of immortality. So if Tvashtar was first who created the physical ladle to sustain the spirit, that means the immortality could be captured by the physical consciousness in a way that it could reproduce itself. Reproduction is this immortality continued in time and space. Yeah? Then these continued the work of Tvashtar. They are represented as human beings who have attained to the condition of Godhead by power of knowledge and perfection in their works. Do you see the projection, by the way? Because I'm reading from it. This is important for us to read together. Their function is to aid Indra in raising man towards the same state of divine light and bliss which they themselves have earned as their own divine privilege. The hymns addressed to them in the Veda are few and to the first glance exceedingly enigmatical, for they are full of certain figures and symbols always repeated, but once the principal clues of the Veda are known, they become, on the contrary, exceedingly clear and simple and present a coherent and interesting idea which sheds a clear light on the Vedic gospel of immortality. So these three Ribhus, they have names. Of course, one is Ribhu, or the other is the Vibhu, and the last one is Vaja, three brothers. And all of them have specific work to do here, and Aurobindo describes this on the ground of Tvashtri's ladle. That's why he is so important. The Ribhus are powers of light who have descended into matter and are there born as human faculties, aspiring to become divine and immortal. The powers of light descended into matter. In this character, they are called children of Sudhanvan. Sudhanvan is the desert, the matter without life. These are the powers which materialize or which spiritualize matter. A patronymic which is merely a parable of their birth from the full capacity of matter touched by the luminous energy. But in their real nature, they are descended from this luminous energy and are sometimes so addressed: offspring of Indra, grandsons of luminous force. For Indra, the divine mind in man, is born out of luminous force, as is Agni out of pure force. And from Indra, the divine mind, spring the human aspirations after immortality. The names of three Ribhus are, in the order of their birth, Ribhu or Ribhukshan, and skillful knower. The skillful knower, or the shaper in the knowledge, Ribhu, is the skillful one. Vibhva or Vibhu, the pervading, Vibhu, present everywhere, literally, the self-diffusing, and the Vaja, the plenitude. Their names indicate their special nature and function, but they are really a trinity, and therefore, although usually termed the Ribhus, they are also called the Vibhus and the Vajas. This is typical for Vedic knowledge. So if there are three brothers, Ribhu, Vibhu, and Vaja, all of them can be called Ribhus, all of them can be called Vajas and Vibhus, because they share the qualities. It's amazing, yeah? For the Vedic mind, for the Rishi's mind, they share the qualities, and that's why they can be called by the same names. So, Ribhu, the eldest, is the first in man who begins to shape by his thoughts and works the forms of immortality. Vibhva gives pervasiveness to its working. Vaja, the youngest, supplies the plenitude of the divine light and substance by which the complete work can be done. Notice there is something resembling the same, the self, the meaning of the self, and the manifestation of the self. The same as we had with three rivers. And that's why I wanted to touch today on these three. The three rivers, the Satyam, Ritam, Brihat, the same procedure of the faculties. These works and formations of immortality they affect. It is continually repeated by the force of thought, capital T, that means supramental thought, with the mind for field and material. They are done with power. They are attended by a perfection in the creative and effective act, which is the condition of the working out of immortality. These formations of the artisans of immortality are, as they are briefly summarized in the hymn before us, the horses of Indra, the car of Ashwins, and the cow that gives the sweet milk, the youth of the universal parents, the multiplication into four of the one drinking bowl of the gods originally fashioned by Tvashtri, the framer of things. Now here we come to the major message of these Ribhus, three brothers. The hymn opens with an indication, there is another hymn to Ribhus, opens with an indication to its objective. It is an affirmation of the power of the Ribhus made for the divine birth, made by man whose minds have attained to illumination and possess that energy of the light from which the Ribhus were born. It is made by the breath of the mouth, the life power in the world. Its object is to confirm in the human soul the entire delight of the beatitude, the tri-seven ecstasies of the divine life. This divine birth is represented by Ribhus, who, once human, have become immortal. By their accomplishing of the work, the great work of upward human evolution, which is the summit of the world's sacrifice. Look how Aurobindo speaks about the Veda. They have gained in that sacrifice their divine share and privilege along with the divine powers. They are sublimated human energies of formation and upward progress who assist the gods in the divinizing of man. And of all their accomplishings, that which is central is the formation of the two brilliant horses of Indra, the horses yoked by speech to their movements, yoked by the word, and fashioned by the mind. It's also interesting from the point of view of the faculties, yoked by the word and fashioned by the mind. Mind is fashioning the shape, holding the self. Word is yoking it in its meaningful movement within oneness. For the free movement of the luminous mind, the divine mind in man is the condition of all other immortalizing works. The second work of the Ribhu, so the first was the Indra's two horses, which were yoked by the word and fashioned by the mind. They created this energy, movement of the divine mind in human consciousness. They made it possible for the divine mind to move and act within human consciousness. The second work of Ribhus is to fashion the chariot of the Ashvins. We have to speak on Ashvins separately. Lords of the human journey. Ashvins are literally the riders on the horse. The happy movement of the Ananda in man, which pervades with its action all his worlds or planes of being, bringing health, youth, strength, wholeness to the physical man, capacity of enjoyment and action to the vital, glad energy of the light to the mental being, in a word, the force of pure delight of being in all his members. So now they fashioned the chariot of the Ashvins. So they fashioned the horses of Indra, the chariot of the Ashvins, and chariot, it is that where Ashvins are seated. It is that which is carrying the Ashvins, the sons of the luminous sun, so to say, of Aditya, bringing them to us. Yes? It is that container of delight they are responsible for, they shaped. And the third work, which is even more interesting, is to fashion the cow who gives the sweet milk, Kamadhenu. It is said elsewhere that this cow has been delivered out of its covering skin, the veil of nature's outward movement and action by the Ribhus. The fostering cow herself is she of the universal forms and universal impetus of movement. Vishvajuvam or Vishvarupam. It is she, Vishvarupa, of universal form, or Vishvajuva is the Vishvajuv. Ju is the one who moves everywhere, speedily moving everywhere. In other words, she is the first radiance, Aditi, the infinite consciousness of the infinite conscious being, which is the mother of the worlds, the divine mother. The consciousness is brought out by the Ribhus from the veiling movement of nature, and the figure of her is fashioned here in us by them. She is, by the action of the powers of the duality, separated from her offspring, the soul in the lower world. The Ribhus restore it to constant companionship with its infinite mother. So basically, these are three major fundamental contributions by Ribhus. First, they fashioned the movement of Indra's mind, or that divine mind within us. They fashioned the horses for him, the speeding movement of the mind. The chariot of the Ashwins, the carrying the delight into our activities in the mind, vital and physical. And finally, they unveiled, revealed the Divine Mother in nature. These are the artisans of immortality. Just, I know this is too much on the plate, but if you think of it, you would see how these three brothers, and that is one after the other, yeah, everyone is kind of responsible for a particular action. Aurobindo will speak about this in a minute here. I will not read everything because you're already tired from all of it, but I will come here.
So Vladimir, is it similar to what Agni does? As in, like, the upward movement is facilitated by ribus, and for us, the upward to downward movement is facilitated by ribus, and downward to upward movement is facilitated by the Agni. Is it like this?
Ribhus are actually evolutionary powers. Yes, they are the powers of Agni, or the powers of the sun, because Agni is the power of the sun. Yes? It's just another name for a particular aspiration within us, which has to be framed by particular powers as Ribhus to make that work. So, and here, this is the last passage I will read, which will explain everything to us. And there, at the sacrifice, the gods drink in the four-fold bowl, this ladle, chamasam chaturvayam, the pourings of the nectar of ambrosia. The Tvashtri, for Tvashtri, the former of things, has given man originally only a single bowl, a physical consciousness, the physical body in which to offer the delight of existence to the gods. The Ribhus, powers of luminous knowledge, take it as renewed and perfected by Tvashtri's later workings and build up in him from the material of the four planes three other bodies: vital, mental, and causal, or ideal body, or supramental body. So these three brothers build vital, mental, and supramental body within our consciousness. These are the evolutionary powers of human aspiration. They are participating because they first discovered them. They first could contain the immortality in the vital, mental, and supramental. And that's why they have these three contributions. First, Indra's horses, then Ashwin's chariot, and carrying the delight, and finally unveiling the Divine Mother in nature, the supramental manifestation. That's why they are called the artisans of immortality. Incredible knowledge, unbelievable beauty, simplicity, and so such knowledge nowhere you can find in no other mythology, or even in post-Vedic literature. They are already kind of veiled and covered by some kind of mystic misunderstanding. And of course, we shifted from one structure to another. We shifted to the mental structure, where we started to think philosophically rather than mythologically. Okay, I will stop here. We took only 2 verses, but they are important because they are constantly mentioned together. First 3 rivers, and then Tvashtri, implying the 3 ribhus behind.
So, Vladimir, do ribus have different names in when, like, do people have any mantra, or are there names?
Oh yeah, there are hymns to ribhus. Few, only few. Aurobindo took one of them there in that. You can look into Secret of the Veda and read this. It's exactly that what is described in this hymn. What their contribution is and why it is there, what they are doing. They are actually building up our evolutionary movement towards the immortality. With their gifts, Indra's horses, Ashwin's chariot, and unveiling the cow of desires in nature. Yeah, fullness of the divine presence, fulfillment in nature. Vaja, that Vaja, plenitude of the divine presence in nature. Amazing. It's amazing. And nobody speaks directly. They are kind of suggesting. You have to discover the connections between these. Within your mind, they are being formulated. Nobody speaks of them directly, that they are connected, 1, 2, 3. There is no this mental need of, systematizing and creating symmetries. But it is automatically taking place in your mind. You have any questions for these 2 verses? Yeah?
Just more curious about ribhus. How do they look and how do we call them? Yeah.
Well,
Vladimir,
yeah.
sorry. I was wondering, with this chariot, could it also mean something to do with heart? Because what's coming up, the open mind, the higher mind I'm talking about, like the 3 rabbos, in fact. The second rabbo, something about the heart, and then the third part of action, like will.
Yeah, absolutely. There is something. You see, you already make connections in your mind. They are made in your mind for you to work it out. Nobody speaks this to you, but you already made a connection. Indra is the divine mind. Ashwins are actually working on the level of the vital. Yeah, definitely. They are manifesting the delight in the vital heart. Yeah, in our vital being. And finally, the plenitude, the unveiling of the Divine Mother in nature, in the physical manifestation of plenitude. Yeah, associations are already working. This archetypal language is already forming you, molding you into something that you would understand about yourself. It works on many, many planes and all the time. I didn't see it, but you saw it, and I would see it another time, something else, and it will again give me some insight, some true insight into the nature of the universe and the divine in the universe. Because it's not symmetrical, it's not mental, it's not a philosophy, it's not an explanation, it's something else. It's a living truth, which can be always kind of called into being, so to say. Thank you for sharing. That was very insightful. It's always pleasant that somebody discovers something which is insightful for you.
Yeah, I was only worried, Mother also mentions about mental constructs. It shouldn't be just my mind coming up with these stories.
This is something amazing, and it doesn't fit into linear thinking, This is another problem. It's kind of interactive, pervasive. It's like all of them are called ribhus, all of them are called vibhus, and all of them are called vajas. So something of the kind, which our mind, which is linear thinking, a rational mind, cannot totally handle. It needs 1, 2, 3. That's why we speak in the language of 1, 2, 3. But then later we see that it is just a language. All right. Lovely. Okay, so then I will stop here. Let's close the mantra for today. Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.